your characters both bring a lot of hope into the story.
It's true.
You're looking to the future. You're looking for how do we prevent things from happening? Or in this case, I guess my question is for both of your characters, what does the idea mean for progress coming at the cost of something sacred?
Wow, that's really good. Well, Arn certainly, I mean, he's a rascal and he's good at avoiding work and having two suppers, but he's smart enough to know that there's a cost. We need the wood faster than the trees can be replaced. He knows that something is being lost, and I love that I got to say that.
I think, like, I wish we would look to the past to learn, you know? I don't understand why we don't learn anything from the past, especially when you watch this movie and you're like, why have we not wised up, like, to the... It seems like we're still the same, and I suppose progress now, to me, would be like, you know, computers taking over jobs for people, you know, and I'm like, and then what? Like, people are going to commit crime because they're not going to have any money. You know, so I just wish we, like, would look to the past and learn, I suppose.
This movie, to me, sort of brings up the question, what does it mean to be human? Times were tough then. They died young, and they died violently. It wasn't a panacea, certainly, but these days, when really we're not needed, so many of us are just not needed for the fabric of life, because there's so many of us. And back then, those guys had to cut the trees to supply the wood, to make the paper. They were needed. If they didn't do it, somebody else would. And one of the things the film does for me is it makes me rejoice in my humanity. It's not so sad to me. It's a little melancholy, but hopeful.
You're dealing with this time where we're only used to seeing like these couples in like black and white photos, and we don't really see them brought out to life. And you're in this kind of survival mode where you have to go out and spend so much time away from your wife, but you're also, there's so much tenderness and love when you two are together. What was it like finding that in rehearsal or when it was rolling?
Yeah, I think that's what we were. It's quite interesting with improvisation because a lot of it can be really bad before you get to something that works. So you do sometimes feel quite exposed, and you'll be doing something and you're going, this just feels weird, this isn't working. But hopefully within those little moments you find little gems. I think the basis of this film, I mean, it felt very straightforward as a filming process. It felt really fluid and easy. I think, you know, Joel had lived with this story for many, many years, and Clint comes with such confidence that he can let you do your own thing and you can find it together. So it was an incredibly easy experience to make it, actually.
Well, you know, this idea of creating the beating heart of a film that we're also going to, spoilers aside, you know, fret for the loss of certain things, is building the full sort of picture of a relationship rather than just the kind of kinetic connection and the love and the intimacy, but also, you know, the domestic life and the fear and foolishness of being new parents and
the struggle as well.
The struggles, yeah. and seeing them in various environments and have tension with each other. It felt like a real lived-in relationship rather than just like, oh, here's a romance we're gonna miss, you know. I thought that was sort of one of the successes of our building of that relationship with Clint.
Yeah, you have to be really careful because sometimes it can go a bit SNL. That if you don't have the authenticity in it, and the authenticity comes from actually when they're not getting on with each other, when it's not perfect, when there's a feeling of depression, or that's how you find you have to find the reality in it.
And not the over-beautification of either of us or our romance.
Yeah, yeah.
If there was an SNL sketch, that would be crazy for this movie. Another question is kind of about like the revolution of what your career is in this. Like you're seeing these new engines and chainsaws coming in. And I'm wondering in both of your careers and your craft, what was a chainsaw moment for you where maybe something that was really difficult at the start or something in your craft was hard to grab onto, and then as time went on, it became incredibly easy?
Well, for me, in a filmmaking sense, it was when Michael Mann and Fincher were the first couple of guys to go, we're going to make a full feature film on digital.
Yeah.
You know, I'm old enough to have shot most of the first things I ever did on film. And then watch film kind of slip away into the past. Happy to say it's getting a bit of a resurgence here and there. But yeah, there's just overtaking the world in digital. And now, obviously, I stare at kids doing TikTok videos on the street and I'm like, it makes me feel old, disconnected. And the way my grandmother felt when I first pointed a video camera at her and she didn't understand that she could move.
Yeah,
That it was a
she was
photo.
static.
I'm like, you can move, you can move.
What was amazing is I remember when we were shooting on film that I would always be like hanging around in the trailer. There'd be so much more waiting. And then suddenly when we were on digital, there was no, because you didn't have to turn around. There was no sort of lengthy lighting. Suddenly the whole process became so much quicker.
Yeah.
But I do have to say it is lovely seeing stuff going back to shooting on film.
Those cameras, from the
Yes, that's
Panavision to
true.
the Alexa, Steadicam,
I
streaming.
started, it was Polaroids were for continuity. Do you remember they'd take the Polaroid camera? So there
And
was...
a buck a picture.
Yeah, and they'd have them all in a folder because that's how they do. And now, just with digital, you know, you can just take so many pictures. But yeah, and when I started as a teenager, it was still the Polaroid.
We use no lights on this film. Adolfo shot this whole thing, even in the campfire, without lights. That means everything goes a lot faster because you don't have to set up those lights. Those cameras are astounding. They changed everything.
Oh, I guess, I suppose nowadays, you know, it's more of an industry like the awards and stuff, you know, and it's a good thing, like hair and makeup and stylists are employed and a lot of people, so it's become more of a bigger thing. Whereas years ago, like even if you look even to the 90s, like people, it wasn't such a big thing. I believe so, right? Like it was like people wore more of their own clothes and stuff. Now it's a whole industry and I mean, but that's good. You know, it's a rising tide, raises all boats.
If you could bring anything back from the early 20th century to use now that maybe we've forgotten as we've grown with technology, what would it be?
Pen and paper,
Oh, that's
a
good.
compass.
A compass is a bit...
There's a great story about the American Navy out there, and their own system went down, and there were 200 ships floating in the ocean, and not one captain knew how to read the stars. They didn't know how to get home.
Good Lord.
You can bet the Navy brought them all back and taught them how to read the stars, use a sextant. I think we can get too modern for ourselves, for our own good. AI is going to change everything, man.
God. I don't know. Sometimes I like the barbaric nature of medicine in those days. You know, like big load of vodka and then pull out your tooth. Something about that. I don't know.
I'll do without that part.
Or what are the things that they would put on to suck the blood? Leeches.
Leeches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
They're
that
still
was
using
wild.
leeches. That works.
Probably like to lose weight or something
No,
crazy.
no.
is
If you
it?
cut off a limb, they'll put a leech here, and they've got something that'll get the blood flowing. They use, yes, in this modern day and age, they use leeches still.